Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So several things just before we dive into everything. One, my hair is a complete mess right now. I literally just got back from Barnes & Noble and it rained on me. So it's this like half wet, just mess, and I just couldn't be bothered to fix it before filming this because I'm so excited. Two, you may have also noticed that there are now 3 bookshelves behind me. I'm actually not quite sure if it is super visible in this current camera angle. I usually try and aim it just for here, but we do have 3 up now. Very excited. More room for all of the books. Once I have like one more project in this room to do, and then I'm going to actually finally do my like bookshelf tour of my library. And then next up, I am so excited because I'm finally going to be doing my giveaway, my 3,000 subscribers giveaway. Again, thank you guys so much for that. I have a couple books that I wanted to include in this giveaway, but I know that I mentioned I wanted to do something Stephen King-ish. So that is what I pulled together. So there will be 3 books in this giveaway, which I am just thrilled about. First up is going to be this hard copy version of The Shining, which I'm very thrilled about. And then I will be following it up with this paperback copy of Dr. Sleep, the sequel. On top of that, I'm also going to be throwing in the UK edition of Alma Katsu's The Fervor. And some random goodies. I've got this little zombie pencil. I've got a bookmark for The Fervor, so I'm going to throw that in as well. These 2 stickers that I got, obviously the Nightworms logo, and then this pizza skull, which I just thought was kind of fun. And then this. So this is Mostly Dead. This is just a little notepad for if you want to like make notes in your books. I know that whenever I read like nonfiction, I take little sticky pads and I write notes. But Mostly Dead is a prosthetics company. I really like them. I bought a lot of stuff from them for like Halloween and like costumes and stuff. And they always send me little notepads. So I have a billion of these, but I love these. So I figured why not include one as well. I'm not quite sure when the video is starting. I know this is going to be going up on Thursday, so it'll probably coincide with my Monday video. All of the info for the giveaway when it starts will be put up on Monday once I figure all of that out. Alright, so I haven't done one of these in a very long time because I've been trying to ease up on my book buying. But I just went to Barnes & Noble and I tried to get Twisted Dead from Darcy Coates. They didn't have it. And I don't really want to buy it on Amazon because I don't always love supporting Amazon. I like going to actual bookstores. And they didn't have it, so I instead of getting 1 book, I walked away with 3. And so I don't necessarily have like a true book haul today, but I do have my TBR list. So I figured I would go through with you guys what books I'm currently trying to read for the next like month or 2. So I'm going to start with the first 2 books that I'm reading because I'm currently reading them. So they are not only on my TBR list, they are already being read. And first up is Historic Haunts of Savannah by Michael Harris and Linda Sickler. This is a really interesting take on the historic, like what is it, Haunted America? The Haunted America series. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know that I've read a lot of these. I've read New York, I've read New Orleans, Salem. There's a bunch, and I think they're fantastic. And every author kind of gets to do their own thing with it. So for this one, they chose a handful of very famous Savannah ghost stories, and they tell you the history of the real people that the ghosts are supposed to be, why they think they are still haunting, and then like what the ghost stories are. It's really cool. It's kind of novelized, like kind of fictionalized. I really like it. I haven't read any Haunted America like that so far, but I'm only like 1 story in right now, but it's really cool and I really enjoy it. I'm going to Savannah soon, so wanted to read that. I usually read my nonfiction books while I'm reading a fiction book. And right now I'm reading Clawheart Mountain by David Oppegard. I got this, I believe, in my most recent Twisted Retreat. It might have been Unplugged, but it's really a scary concept, so I'm assuming it was Twisted Retreat. This is a really interesting book so far. I'm about 25 to 33% of the way through, and I am devouring this book. I really, really like this book. The concept's really interesting. It's about a group of teenagers going up to a cabin in the woods. On their way there, they find several $1 million in an armored van on the side of the road, and they take it. However, that money belonged to some powerful people who have now sent somebody to find the money, some kind of like assassin to find the money. And there may or may not be some kind of crazy supernatural creature in the woods. That's pretty much the premise on the back of the book and about all I figured out so far reading it. The character development's really cool. The setting is really, really cool. It really gives me those like cabin in the woods feel, like the Joss Whedon movie. And I'm adoring it so far. Also, this cover is just so freaking cool. I love these Twisted Retreat books. They're just so beautiful. Okay, so next up, I have one that I know was not Twisted Retreat, but was actually from Unplugged. And this is The Secret Garden of Yanagi Inn by Amber A. Logan. I'm going to read the back of the book for you guys, but I'm really excited to read this because it has like an extremely high rating on Goodreads. I think it's got like a 4, and like anything above like a 3.5 tends to usually be really, really good. So let's see. Still grieving her mother's death, American photographer Mary Lennox is sent to document Yanagi Inn, an old dilapidated ryokan outside Kyoto, Japan. By day, Mary explores the inn and its grounds, taking striking photographs and uncovering layers of mystery shrouding the old resort, including an overgrown secret garden on a forbidden island. At night, eerie weeping, which no one else seems to hear, keeps her awake. Despite the warnings of the staff, Mary searches for the source of the ghostly sound and discovers a devastating secret tying her family's history to the inn and its mysterious, forlorn garden. I know that this is supposed to be a gothic reimagining of The Secret Garden, which I don't think I've read since I was in like elementary school. I'm pretty sure my like first grade teacher read us The Secret Garden. But really, really interested in this. This has a crazy high rating, so excited for that. All right, next up is another, I think this is also an Unplugged book. I'm really excited to read this one as well. I'm really trying to get through a lot of these Unplugged and Twisted Retreat books. One, because they're leaning more towards indie authors, and two, because they've been doing a lot of like gothic, horror, sci-fi, and mystery recently, and less like romance and fantasy, and I'm about that. And I just really, really like this book. The covers on these books, again, are just awesome. The binary, what was the cover on Yanagi Inn? Pretty. But let us read the back of this, or the inside flap, I guess. All right. A mysterious pandemic causes a quarter of the world to permanently lose the ability to sleep without any apparent health implications. The outbreak creates a new class of people who are both feared and ostracized, most of whom optimize their extra hours to earn more money. Journalist Jamie Vega is sleepless. He can't sleep, nor does he need to. When his boss dies on the eve of a controversial corporate takeover, Jamie doesn't buy the too convenient explanation of suicide and launches an investigation of his own. But everything goes awry when Jamie discovers that he was the last person who saw Simon alive. Not only do the police suspect him, Jamie himself has no memory of that night. Alarmingly, his memory loss may have to do with how he became sleepless. Not naturally, like other sleepless people, but through a risky and illegal biohacking process. As Jamie delves deeper into Simon's final days, he tangles with extremist organizations and powerful corporate interests, all while confronting past traumas and unforeseen consequences of his medical experimentation. But Jamie soon faces the most dangerous decision of all as he uncovers the terrifying truth about sleeplessness that imperils him and all of humanity. This sounds so Matrixy. I'm just really excited. I don't know why this book speaks to me so much, and its rating on Goodreads is like kind of mid, but I don't know, I just feel like I'm really gonna like it. Okay, next up, the reason I went to Barnes & Noble, as I said, was to buy a Darcy Coates book that they didn't have, but like, I'm not gonna go to a Barnes & Noble and not buy a Darcy Coates book. So I picked up Deadliest, which I have not heard of, but it had a solid review on Goodreads. When they have, again, like higher than like 3.5, 3.6, I usually buy them, especially if they're by authors I like. Anything above a 4 is almost an instant buy, but that's so rare to find something consistently above a 4. Anyhow, I picked this up, and it says, she thought she was alone. Sam is excited to spend a week at her uncle's remote lakeside cabin. It's a chance for her to focus on her art without distractions. No neighbors, no phone, and only a small radio to keep her company. It's perfect. But there's something deeply unnatural lingering by the lake. It isn't long before Sam realizes she's not alone out here. A tall, strange man stands on the edge of her dock, staring intently into the swirling waters below. At first, she tries to brush off her unease, but unnerving reports begin to surface of hikers missing from the nearby trail. Then he starts to follow her. He disables her car, he destroys her only way to communicate with the outside world. Stranded, alone, afraid, Sam may have become the prey in a hunter's deadliest game. So what I'm actually really excited about that is that this then includes like 4 short stories afterwards. And the last time I picked up a book by Darcy Coates like that, and I just read the main story, and I actually didn't read the 4 short stories, was The Fallcroft Ghost. And that has become one of my favorite Darcy Coates books ever. So I really like when she works in these kind of novellas. So seeing that, I was like, I've never read this. This looks really interesting. I think I'm going to do a video of my favorite spooky cabin novels, because I have just realized reading this that I have many. Like, this is a trope that, like, isolated in a cabin or, like, on a lake or on an island. I'm like, I'm going to read that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that for summer. I think that would be really, really fun. Like, good books to read when camping. Or maybe not. Good books to convince you never to go camping. Okay, next up. I got 2 by Anya Alborn. So I was sitting there and I was like, I'm not just going to buy a Darcy Coates book, because now I'm here. I'm in the horror section. I was looking at what they have, and I almost bought the new T. Kingfisher. But it was like $30, and I was like, you know what? I can spend $30 on 1 book, or I can spend $30 on 2 books. And I pretty much bought these because they're both by Anya Alborn, and I've determined I freaking love Anya Alborn, and Brother was one of my best reads of the year so far. I'm fairly certain Brother's going to make it onto my top 10 list already. But I was stunned with how much I've like grown to love her. And both of these books don't seem to deal with like the horrors of the family dynamic, which every other book I've read from Anya Alborn seems to. So I grabbed these, very excited about it. Let me read the backs. So first up is Within These Walls. With his marriage on the rocks and his life in shambles, washed-up true crime writer Lucas Graham is desperate for a comeback. One more shot at the best-selling success he once enjoyed. His chance comes when he's promised exclusive access to death row inmate Jeffrey Halcombe, the notorious cult leader and mass murderer who's ready to break his silence after 30 years, and who contacted Lucas personally from his maximum security cell. With nothing left to lose, Lucas leaves New York to live in and work from the scene of the crime, a split-level farmhouse on a gray-sanded beach in Washington state, whose foundation is steeped in the blood of Halcombe's diviners, runaways who were drawn to his message of family, unity, and unconditional love. There, Lucas sets out to capture the real story of the departed faithful. Except he's not alone. For Jeffrey Halcombe promised his devout eternal life, and within these walls, they're far from dead. I love cults. Not like joining cults, or like cults that in real life, I think those are terrifying. But I love reading about fictional cults. I've read a bunch the last couple years. Todd Keesling's Devil's Creek comes to mind as one of the strongest ones that I've read. And then obviously Last Days by Adam Neville is a really, really big one. There's another Last Days by another horror author whose name is escaping me that's supposed to be amazing, that's also about cults, that's on my eventually to get to TBR one day. But yeah, I love cults. I love reading about cults. They're so creepy. They're so interesting to work with. They're so believable. And I love when that supernatural element really comes in. Apologize for the garbage trucks I apologize for the garbage truck that was just beeping outside. Anyway, next up, I grabbed The Devil Crept In. I literally bought every Anya Alborn book that was on the shelf that I hadn't read before. And there's like still like 3 I think that are missing. But this one is Young Jude Brayton has gone missing. And while the search for him is in full swing here in the small town of Deer Valley, Oregon, the locals are starting to lose hope. They're well aware that the first 48 hours are critical, and after that, the odds usually point to a worst case scenario. And despite Stevie Clark's youth, he knows that too. He's seen the cop shows. He knows what each ticking moment may mean for Jude, his cousin and best friend. It's just like the stories from years ago of that boy, Max Larson, who was found dead after also disappearing under mysterious circumstances. And then there were the animals, pets gone missing out of yards. For years, the residents of Deer Valley have either murmured about or tried very hard to not talk about these unsolved crimes, or that a killer may still possibly be lurking around their quiet town. Now, fear is reborn, and for Stevie, who is determined to find out what really happened to Jude, the awful truth may be too horrifying to imagine. Both of these are set in the Pacific Northwest. I actually just went there. I was in Seattle in January. It's cold. It's very cold. All right, so 2 more, real quick. I got this a little bit ago, and I keep meaning to read it, but this is White Oleander by Janet Fitch. I really, really, really want to read this. This book is supposed to be amazing. The only reason I haven't is because it's over 400 pages, and every month I'm like trying to pick up the slack of making only like 5 books a month instead of 6. So I will get to this very soon, hopefully this month. I really, really, really want to read it. And it says, everywhere hailed as a novel of rare beauty and power, White Oleander tells the unforgettable story of Ingrid, a brilliant poet imprisoned for murder, and her daughter Astrid, whose odyssey through a series of Los Angeles foster homes, each its own universe with its own laws, its own dangers, its own hard lessons to be learned, becomes a redeeming and surprising journey of self-discovery. This is a super famous book, so I imagine most of you have either read it or know about it, but I've never read it, and I cannot wait to finally read it. Okay, and then last but not least, because I love my Haunted History, Haunted America collections, is the Haunted History of Philadelphia. I get tattooed down in Philly. I stay in this awesome hotel. I love hotels. I stay at the Penn's View, right off of Penn's Landing. It's beautiful. It's historical. It's gorgeous. You get a real-ass key to open your room. I'm low-key terrified it's going to be in this book. I didn't get haunted vibes from it, but it is an awesome, awesome, awesome hotel, and cool, historical. Sometimes haunted hotels are like my jam. But because I'm going to be going there, I think, a little bit more frequently, I wanted to get this. And just like it says, this is the Haunted History of Philadelphia. This is by Josh Hitchens. I'm not sure what style this is going to be told through. As I said earlier, all of these books, the authors get to kind of choose whether you do it like tour guide style, ghost story style, fictionalized style, super, super like history book style. So they all vary, but I just wanted to read about that. Anyway, that is my current TBR. Obviously, I have just tons of books in these cabinets behind me that are technically also on my TBR, but these are the books that I'm trying to like get through first. Really, really, really excited about these. Cannot wait to read more Anya Alborn. Obviously, I love my girl Darcy Coates, so that'll definitely be there as well. Hopefully, I'll finally get through White Oleander. But I am so far loving Clawheart Mountain, and I really hope it doesn't like go downhill, because there's so many times where I'm like, oh my god, I love this book like 20% of the way through, and then it's just like downhill. So I'm hoping it stays, because just right now I'm so interested in it, and it's so cabin in the woodsy without being super like self-aware, and I love it. Anyway, that is all that I have for you guys today. As always, I post every Monday and Thursday, sometimes on Saturdays, and if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Mwah.